one thing I wanted to talk about too is just the speed at which we reply to candidates and to applicants, because I do think that there's a demand out there and an expectation that's like increasing. So, what have
Yeah.
you noticed, Carlos, in terms of the speed of response when someone applies? How important is that, and what's kind of the ideal time frame to get back to new applicants?
Yeah, I one of the kind of big lessons that I've just seen and spending time on this stuff, and it was kind of one of our original ideas or insights when we like started the company, is that it really pays to think about recruiting as sales and marketing, just with like a different, funnel. And one of the big principles of you know, effective marketing and sales is speed to lead. So you get somebody coming through the door, filling out a form or raising their hand. The odds are they're going to do that with five other people, and so if it's one of those like if you're not first, you're last kind of situations, and it's definitely true of applicants coming off of Indeed or other job boards. Indeed is probably the worst of this because Indeed, again, optimizing for the candidate experience, they make it so easy to apply to just so many jobs. You can go through and just like as an applicant, you just go through and just like carpet bomb like every job that you see with one click applies and just like see what happens. And so being like the one who gets in front of somebody who applies first is going to be really key for you even having an opportunity to hire that person. And we see that that dynamic is the most extreme at the more entry level roles because in those cases, the distance between an applicant and like the next paycheck is even more important. But even for folks who are maybe more like management or kind of technical roles or not as entry level, responsiveness also really matters. And I think it's a little bit of the paycheck thing, but not nearly as much. It has more to do with what it says about sort of like the operational excellence of the business that they're applying to. If it takes somebody 3 days to get back to them about their application, uh, what does that say in terms of like, how the business runs and its priorities and stuff like that. So different reasons it matters for different roles, but at the end of the day, it still matters a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And one thing that we found is just asking a question on that automated response of, hey, what interested you about our company will weed out 20, 30% of people who apply who are just applying to apply. So it's like that one automated question. And if they don't respond, then we're kind of at that point knew that maybe they were just carpet bombing, like you said,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
not interested.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people they might take they think about a similar sort of cutoff. That's like can be a really efficient way of screening for where you should spend your effort. But I think a lot of people have that cutoff at an earlier stage, and it tends to be where they cut off like applicants. Basically, did they pick up the phone? You know, they applied. I call them. Did they pick up the phone? Did they pick up? If they didn't pick up the phone, they must not want a job. And so therefore, I'm gonna like, reject them. But if you think about like who your ideal candidate for all these roles might be, they may not be in a position to pick up the phone because they're like working in a job like the one that you're hiring them for. And so screening them on that basis can actually be counterproductive to, having a great talent pool. So moving that like one stage later, having it be based off of a text that you have a high degree of confidence that they saw. They don't reply to that, you can screen on that. They do reply to it, and the answer is one that leads you to believe that they're not qualified, also a good place to screen. So that like one spot and like slightly changing where you put that gate uh, we see have a big impact.